Us now is Samira Garay. She's a U.S. senior correspondent with Iran International. You know, Samira, has the war shifted domestic support for the regime in any meaningful way from what we know? Are people rallying around the government at this point or becoming more critical? What do we actually know about what's happening on the ground?
Thank you for having me. It's still too early to have any assessment on the social landscape. Of course, the war and the sentiments that this war brought, it's going to change the general feeling, the general social alignments in the country, but it's still very early. The atmosphere is still very murky. So we still don't know how people are gonna form their ideas about the Islamic Republic. We know based on previous polls that almost 80% of Iranian people are going to vote against Islamic Republic if there is going to be a free election in Iran. So what I am guessing is that this number is gonna increase. And one of the reasons is that the Islamic Republic, with its excessive regional policies and the hostility against Israel, brought war inside Iranian territory. So that's one thing that Iranian people, even people who maybe they were neutral about Islamic Republic, they cannot ignore that fact anymore. An attack on Iranian territory, on Iranian soil, Iranian airspace, this is for sure one of the reasons that it's a fruit of Islamic Republic's policy in the region. But overall, it's still too early to have any assessment on how people are aligning now.
Now, there are reports of renewing indirect U.S.-Iran talks. What are you hearing from your sources about the prospects of any kind of deal at this point?
What I'm hearing is that it's not immediate. It's not going to be even in the coming 1 month that there's going to be a deal between U.S. and Iran. Still, again, very early. The reason is that the political echelon and whatever in Iran, like the head of state, the supreme leader, he's nowhere to be found. So it's still a turmoil, even in terms of policy making. So we don't know if Araghchi, for instance, the Iranian foreign minister, has any permission to go and meet with Americans next week, for instance, in Oslo. That's what we are hearing. But who is going to give him the permission to go and have any of these sort of meetings? And the reason is, again, the political echelon, that at the moment it's a turmoil there. It's very chaotic, and Islamic Republic is still finding itself and putting pieces, to its places and finding what they are going to do in the coming months. So no, there is nothing at hand at this moment for them.
What might a U.S.-Iran understanding even look like at this point? I mean, are we talking about de-escalation only, or something like broader sanctions relief in exchange for limits on enrichment?
Sanction relief is not going to happen. Now that we are talking, a few hours ago, U.S. imposed a new round of sanctions specifically on Iranian oil. But again, we heard few contradictory statements from President Trump. A few days ago, he said that China can now buy oil from Iran. But again, today we are hearing that there are more sanctions on Iranian oil. And we know even before the war that Iran had an issue with these sanctions. They were saying that you cannot come to the negotiation table and talk to us, and in the meantime impose more sanctions on us. So we don't believe your goodwill and good intention in the negotiations if you're putting sanction on us. So the sanction relief is very, very unlikely at this point, but the understanding, probably it's going to be a very, very broad understanding, because at the moment U.S. assessment is that Islamic Republic is not anywhere close to do anything nuclear. President Trump said time and time that nuclear is the last thing that they are thinking about. And from the Iranian side, this is a new thing that Araghchi is saying, that they are saying that we received a huge blow on our nuclear facilities. Their assessment at the moment is that it was very heavy. We don't know if this is political, if it's real, or they are just playing a political card here. But we are going to see what sort of understanding. It's going to be definitely something that it's going to include the region and how Islamic Republic see Israel after the 12-day war.